Hello and welcome to today's lesson where we're looking at the core competencies model. Now, many people believe that strategy is about competing to be the best. It isn't. It's about competing to be unique. And it is in shaping your uniqueness where the core competencies model can be helpful. So what is a core competency? Well, a core competency is something unique and important that a business can do strategically well. So let's break that down so the definition is clear. So unique means that competitors aren't doing it. Important means that it is fundamental to helping the company generate sales. And strategically well means that it's difficult for competitors to copy. Now, many strategic models use an outside-in approach. They work by examining customers and the marketplace, and then they use these external factors or analysis of these external factors to drive and shape the organization and the products that it makes. Now, the core competency model turns this on its head using an inside-out approach. Now, in the model, a long-term competitive advantage is achieved by having the ability to build a core competency at a lower cost and faster than competitors. Now, core competencies result in a unique and competitive products in the marketplace. And because the products come inside out from your core competency, these products can sometimes be unusual or surprising. So in a nutshell, core competencies are about working hard to build uniqueness and then leveraging this uniqueness to be successful in the marketplace. Me Too businesses with nothing unique to offer the customer can only really compete on price. So let's look at some examples of core competencies in action. So firstly, IKEA's core competency is its unique design capabilities. Now, this capability results in offering customers great value for money. And it's obviously very hard for competitors to compete with great design at very low cost. Apple's core competencies are its user-centered design, along with its integrated software and hardware ecosystem. Now, the design is so strong that it's practically impossible for competitors to create laptops, for example, that can sell for similarly high prices. And finally, BMW. Now, their core competency is that everything it does is underpinned by its active driving design philosophy. Now, this has resulted in a long history of unique high-performance cars. And even if a competitor can match one of BMW's cars for speed performance, speed alone doesn't really create what BMW calls the ultimate driving experience. And that makes it really, really hard for competitors to compete with BMW. So you can probably think of lots of things your company does well or could do well, but would each of them actually be a core competency? Well, the easy way to answer this is by asking the following questions. So, does it provide consumer benefits? So a core competency must result in something in the marketplace that could strongly influence the consumer to purchase your product. Now, if it doesn't, then it has no impact on your competitive position and it isn't a core competency, simple as that. Next question is it difficult to imitate? Well, a core competency should be difficult for competitors to imitate. This allows your products to remain unique in the marketplace. Now, investing in the continuous improvement of your core competency is important, and by doing so, you can sustain your competitive advantage into the future. And the final question is, can it be widely leveraged? So a core competency should be applicable to many products and many markets. So how do you use the model to find and develop your core competencies? Well, a simple process you can follow is as follows. You can start by brainstorming what's important to your customers and by looking at what your existing competencies might be, and then underpinning what's important to your customer in particular, you can ask what are the core competencies that underpin these. So then once you've developed your list of core competencies, you can run the 3 test questions we just looked at. So does it provide consumer benefits? Is it difficult to imitate? And can it be leveraged widely? And then once you've done that, you'll have some results, and you can analyze those results using the table you see here on the right-hand side. So if you've identified core competencies you already have, then you need to be thinking about how these competencies can be developed further and improved further. If you have no current core competencies, but you have identified some potential future ones, then you need to think about which core competency it makes sense for you to develop. Now, it will normally be the one with the greatest potential to impact your customer's buying decision. And one important thing to note here is that developing a core competency is not something that's free. So for example, having the best customer support doesn't just happen. It's not something that happens overnight, but instead it's the result of a conscious decision to invest in that area. And finally, if you didn't develop any core competencies whatsoever, then you could run through this exercise again, but this time involve more people in the brainstorming, involve customers in your discussions, in your brainstorming as well. And finally, you could consider using an outside facilitator. So before we wrap up, I just want to mention core competencies and outsourcing. So the model is a strategic one, and it recommended that organizations focus really only on their core competencies. And because of that, it also recommended that they outsource all non-core activities. Now, if you think about it, that kind of explains why IKEA's design center is based at its headquarters in Sweden. And from this, it also explains why manufacturing is outsourced, simply because it isn't a core competency. Now, that the model recommended outsourcing all non-core activities has resulted in some criticism of the model. So, for example, the human element is ignored to the detriment of the organization. So, if an accountant is outsourced, then how do they feel inclined to do the best job they can for a company when it's some other company that's actually paying their salary? So, to wrap up, the core competencies model is an inside-out strategic tool. It advocates focusing on those core activities that give an organization a sustainable strategic advantage. It then advocates outsourcing everything else. And there are 3 questions you can use to help you determine if a competency could be a core competency. And those are, does it provide consumer benefits? Is it difficult to imitate? And can it be leveraged widely? So that's it for today's lesson. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.